Hello, welcome to my channel, Fabulously Frugal and Fancy. Today we are going to be doing a DIY that is fabulous, frugal, and fancy. So if you like this video, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know if there's any videos you would like for me to do. I would be happy to attempt to do those for you. Today we're going to be talking about a unicorn wreath. I saw one on Instagram. I never could find a video how to do it. I did find some pictures that helped me, and so it was an adventure. Let's see if I can walk you through the steps, step by step, exactly what I did, and I'm going to tell you how I saved an amazing amount of money doing this, not how everybody else had done it, kind of taking some other pieces and putting them together to make this beautiful unicorn wreath. Just let's get right into it. Thanks. Alright, so here's the unicorn that we are going to be making. I love how it turned out. I saw lots of pictures of these and tried to make one myself. So let's, this is what I used. I used a candy cane wreath, and I cut part of the bottom off so it wasn't quite so long in the body part. I just cut off one of the rings, used wire cutters. I used this large mesh roll because I got this on clearance. A store was going out of business here. I ended up getting these large white and the rainbow ones. I think they were 12-inch. I ended up getting those for like 30 cents a roll, so I used these instead, but you could use the 6-inch Deco mesh. This was 21-inch, and I was able to cut several pieces out of each section. Now, I used a cutting mat, a rotary blade, a square, and a ruler. The square was just to kind of hold it down into place. I used a small clear ruler for my 6-inch squares. I used just some embellishments. This is some rope, the pink rope I got off of a container. I got the horn, the little mini roses, and some felt. I used this Twistie Tie stuff that you get from Dollar Tree. Instead of using Chanel, like the pipe cleaners, I used these. I used my glue gun and glue sticks. And my large cutting mat. Here is where I start to cut. I got the rainbow. You need 6-inch squares, and of the rainbow you need 126 squares of this rainbow. Then you're going to make clusters out of those. So I used my cutting mat, I laid these flat down on there, and I used my rotary blade to cut the squares. Don't mind the brace on my hand. I had a problem with my thumb for a while and a ligament in my hand, so I was wearing a brace. I just laid this out at 6-inch. Because it is rolled so tightly, it was a little hard to get it to lay flat. That's why I used the square, because it would hold the bottom piece down flat as I was cutting, and you just have to kind of, pull it all evenly. It's a little difficult to cut at first. Now, I did leave all of my instructions in real time. I did not speed them up, simply because this process was a little difficult for me, and I wanted to be able to show you guys in real time what it took. It took me a long time just to cut out the pieces. So I just show you a small portion of me cutting, but I believe I used 2 or 3 of these large rolls. Like I said, with the rainbow, you need 126 of the 6x6 square pieces. So whether you buy 6-inch mesh, or you buy the larger rolls. Like I said, I got this for like 20 cents a roll because A. Seymour was going out of business, and they had this rainbow. The ones that I had seen originally, they'd used like 3 different colors. They'd used like a green, a purple, and a pink, separate colors of mesh. But when I saw this rainbow at that price, I was just like, oh, I'm buying this and I won't have to cut separate ones. You could use 6-inch mesh in different colors, or you could find some rainbow mesh like I did. And like I said, again, I'm just using my 6-inch square there, and I'm cutting out my squares until I have 126 pieces. And then you're going to make clusters out of those. So and I just continued to cut. I did this over several days. And I had all of my little pieces here, and then you want to roll them. You want to go from one corner and you want to kind of roll that, not side to side, but corner to corner. And you just do that with 3 of them at a time. And I just held them between my fingers so that they wouldn't unravel. And I just rolled these 3 pieces together, corner to corner, rolled them. Now the white, when you roll those together, you roll those side to side, not corner to corner. And then I just took a little piece of my twisty tie and tied that together. And I did this until I had 42 clusters of the rainbow. Again, if you were working with 3 different colors, you're just going to do 42 of each color in the squares, and then you're going to do 1 of each. I cut my white mesh 6-inch squares as well, and these I'm rolling side to side. Groups of 3. Again, you want to put 3 in a cluster. And yes, my thing shed pretty bad. I just tried to trim off some of the edges, but in the end you just make a mess when you're working with the mesh this way. You have lots of little pieces that tend to stick around for a long time. So the white you roll side to side. The rainbow you roll corner to corner. You want the main part of the horse, the unicorn, to stick out a little further than you do the regular body of the hair that you're making here. And again, I just use the twisty tie. Now the white ones, you need 96 pieces total of the white 6-inch squares, and you're going to end up making 32 clusters of the white. Now if you were using the full length of the unicorn, these are actually the numbers that were used for the full length. I took off the bottom, so I ended up using a little less of the white clusters, but I went by somebody else's measurements. I was not able to find a video, but I was able to find a picture tutorial, and that's what I kind of used as a guide. So I ended up making a little bit more, but I didn't think that the horse shape, I don't know, I wanted it to be a little bit smaller. So I take my little bunch there and I put it under the first rung, over the second rung, and under the third rung, if that makes sense. You can kind of watch what I'm doing here. And I just shove them all in there. I don't really connect them to anything. I just kind of shove them all in there. I fit as many as I can in each section. Let's see how many I get in the first section here. I think I did at least 4 in each section. I may have done 5, we'll see. And you just kind of shove that under each section so you can see better what I'm doing than how I'm describing it. It's a little difficult to describe. And do I move on to the next one, or do I shove another one in there? No, then I just hold it aside and I do the same thing beside it. So I put 4 on that one
rung there, and then I put 4 on the other side. So um, that middle section there in between the second and third rung, you're going to have 2 bunches grouped together in that one right now. You always will, but the outer rungs you just use to hold these in. I didn't know if I'd have to glue these in. You can attach them to the rails with the twisty tie if you want. I did not, because there's so many in each one. They are holding each other in place at this point. So the closer you get to the end of each little section, the harder it is to kind of shove it in there. They're really tightly packed in there, and they hold themselves in. I didn't have any problems. This one has been hanging on my niece's door now for she just turned 2, so a little bit, about 2 years or a little bit more. I think it was made before she was actually born, and it hasn't fallen apart. So I put 4 on the first row there, 4 on the second row, and so 8 in each section of the white. And then I just work all the way around the area there. And like I said, it's a little hard to get the last one in there. That's how tight they are. But you want them to be tight. You will not see any of the frame this way, and you will not have to use any excess hot glue or time tying all these pieces in there, because it is so tightly packed. You do not need to worry about it falling out or falling apart. And then I just take all of the little excess parts of the twisty ties and I just twist them all in a bunch, lay them down flat. So that is the first section there. And I'm just kind of trying to play with it and see if it's going to work this way. Again, I was going off some of these pictures, so I knew the basic steps, but I didn't know very much detail. And this was a little time consuming. You just have to have time and a large table to set it all up on. And again, a good vacuum cleaner, because the little strings of this ended up being everywhere for about a month. We were still finding the little strings of the Deco mesh all over the place. And I start on the next section. You're just going to do the exact same thing, the exact same method in each section. And some sections you may, I think this one here, the 2 that go around the curve are a little longer than the other sections, so I actually added 5 pieces here, I believe, instead of 4 on each row. But let's check and see. I'm just going by memory with the numbers on that at this point, because I don't exactly remember. I appreciate you joining me today for this tutorial. I hope you find it helpful. I would love to have you subscribe to my channel. I do lots of DIYs, but I do a lot of things, tips and tricks for being frugal. I am very much a cheapskate. I like to save money. I do not like to pay full price for anything if I can help it. It looks like I just got 4 in each section there instead of 5. I thought maybe I had shoved 5 in there, because some of them are a little bit longer, it seems. Anyway, back to my little plug-in ad here. If you would like to subscribe to my channel, I would appreciate having you join our little community here. would love to meet you, love to know where you're from, what state or country you're watching from. But I do all things frugal. I do some DIYs, I do clothing, makeup, jewelry, home decor. I will show you where I find deals, when I find deals. If I know of an area of a store going out of business, again, I am a frugal shopper, so if there's a store going out of business, you can guarantee I will be there seeing what I can get for very cheap, because I am a cheapskate. But when you're doing crafts, a lot of times supplies can be very expensive. And if you can save money on those supplies, if you're selling a product, you can then sell it for much cheaper and you can pass that savings on to somebody else. It's just a lot of times if you spend a lot of money for the supplies, you have to charge much more for your product. And it just gets to be like, why would you buy, from there when you can buy it somewhere else just as expensive? I like to save money and I like to save other people money. I do a lot of decorating for events and so forth, and I like to save my customers money in that regard as well. So again, just shoving those in there in each section, fluffing them up. I'm trying to look and see if there's any, if I'm making any mistakes, if there's anything I'm doing that could, needs improving. So I keep turning it over just to check. Again, this was a trial and error kind of thing at first. And I wanted to record it so that if anybody else was looking for a tutorial on this, that it would be available. So I did record me making it, and that was actually way before I did my YouTube channel. I hadn't even planned on starting it. I just was like, well, if anybody needs a video, then I can at least show them how to make this. This isn't a project that I would probably make and sell, just because it is very time consuming and I don't have a ton of time to spend making a single craft. I made this one. I actually only made 2 of these. I made one for my sister when she was pregnant. I made it for her little girl's room, and I made one for a very good friend of mine for her daughter. She ordered it, and unfortunately I had to charge her for the shipping. She just paid for the shipping to get it to her. It was quite pricey to ship. It was unfortunate that it was like that, but I was able to get the supplies very inexpensive. I got the candy cane wreath frames from Dollar Tree, and like I said, I got all the Deco mesh when AC Moore was going out of business, and I was able to get the Deco mesh rolls for so cheap. It was unbelievable. And they had the rainbow and the white, and I knew I needed white. Again, I was supposed to get the 6-inch, but that was like $10 a roll, and I was like, no, that's so expensive. Then I found these there, and they were the 21-inch ones, and I just bought several of those. I still have several of the rolls. I'm not sure what else I intend to do with them, but I had no idea how many I would need to make this when I bought them. So I just bought all that I could find in the rainbow, and then the white I bought several because, again, I do decorate for many different events, weddings, sweet 16s, birthday parties, baby showers, so forth like that. So you can always use white in a lot of different things. So I did get a lot of the white as well. And again, I paid about 20 cents a roll for each of these when the store was going out of business. So you just want to keep your eye out for big sales. Anywhere you can find a big sale and save a ton of money. I was able to buy a lot of different supplies and just do a big stock up so that I could save money on a lot of things over the next few years with craft supplies. When that store was going out of business, I went back a few times. Ended up getting quite a bit of things when AC Moore was going out of business in my area. So alright, as you can see, I am in the 3rd section now, and I am just going through and taking my time. Again, I did not speed this up just because I feel like you want to be able to understand exactly what I'm doing there. And I'm wrapping, I'm doing the clusters. I'd put all my clusters together at the beginning, and I just had them in different shopping bags sitting around. So when one bag, because they did take up quite a bit of space when they were just all clustered together. And if you find you have extra space in one, just shove in another piece. You just want to fill it out as much as possible all the way down. I believe I went all the way down. Hold on, I'm gonna take a look at that picture real quick on my phone just so that I know. I did not go all the way down with the white because I didn't think I did. I went down, I think this might be my last of white. And then I start with the rainbow color because the bottom part, the mane goes across the top, and then the whole bottom part is the mane as well. This might be my last section of white or one more. We'll see here when I get to the bottom. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 sections so far of the white. And you just push one side in and then go over that little strip there, the little ring, whatever, rung there, and just push it all the way through. And then you kind of have to push them way up and smush them together to be able to fit them all in to each area. So you want to just, the more full it gets, the harder it is to shove them through, but if you don't, then they won't stay in there. You want to shove them through and you want to fill it all the way up so that you can, so that they hold each other in. You can be sure they're not going to fall off. And again, I did have long strands. I would, pull them off whenever I could. But if you've ever worked with Deco mesh, you know it sheds pretty badly. I had never worked with it before this. This was my first experience. Alright, so now I'm going to start with the mane. And I fold that in half when I'm doing the top part here. And I just kind of shove it under that outer rung there. I do not, attach it anywhere else. I just push that white up, shove it under the first rung, pull the bottom with the twisty tie through it, and it just kind of spikes up and looks like a mane on a unicorn. So again, you just take the rainbow one, fold it in half, and put it under the first rung. The white is laying over top of it, and you just push it aside and you shove it under, and you pull the bottom piece all the way through. And then you just keep going around. Now the mane here, I didn't go all the way to the end because the mane starts where the horn is going to, where you're going to put your horn, that's where you're going to start your mane. I just had a picture of one that I kept looking at, and so I knew where I needed to kind of start that. So I start where I believe the horn will be, and then I just go all the way around where the white is, and that's the mane, the part of the mane that sticks out. And then the white, I done one less on that side so I could put, if you see there's some space there, and I am going to put some of the rainbow in there because I wanted the mane to look like it flowed down kind of at an angle. So then I push the rainbow one, I start with the rainbow colored one. And again, if you buy the 6-inch mesh, you can do, I don't know if you can find any of the rainbow mesh. If you cannot, you can use 3 different colors. And when you do your little bundles, you're just going to do one of each color. And you can pick whatever colors you want. Or you could do a solid. Like if you wanted a solid pink mane or a solid purple mane, you could do it in a solid color as well. That's totally up to your own judgment and your own style and what you want to do. And when I shoved that one in, this piece of the mane fell out because that one wasn't totally full yet. And so then I just kind of shoved that back in there. And then I use the same method that I used with the white. I go under the first rung, over the second rung, over the third rung. So I just kind of shove this down in there and push it up to the top of that. Now I will say, for the first one I made, or the second one I made, one of the two, I think the first one I made of the unicorn wreath, I kind of made my own horn and I covered it with fabric. I used styrofoam. That was a little bit more difficult to do. For this one that I filmed, I did buy a unicorn horn. You can buy them. I think mine was on a headband, and I just took it off the headband and used that. It was much easier than trying to cut the foam to the perfect, cone shape that looked like a horn instead of a cone. So that was a little bit of a challenge, but on this one that I recorded, I did just buy a unicorn horn that was, I believe I ordered it off of Amazon. It was just a headband, and I removed the headband, and then I had the perfect horn already without having to cut and shape the styrofoam and cover it with fabric. That was a little bit more difficult. Now for the mane, I wanted it to be a little bit more full, and I put 5 of each bundles on in each one of the rows. So actually 10 bundles per section here. And again, I did not use all the bundles that was told to make. I do not know exactly how many I used. I am so sorry, I did not keep track of that. If you go by the numbers that I gave you, you will probably have extra. I do not know exactly how many I used, but you just want to fill each section of the wreath form as full as you can. As far as you can shove it in there, that's how many times you want to keep putting it in there. You just want it to be totally full and completely, stuffed in there, because then when you flip it over, you don't see any of the wreath form, and the unicorn looks very full and looks very, just very full and fluffy on the outside. So again, just taking my time, putting those in there. All right, there's the next section. That section's all done now. And from this angle, you can see the green there, but you just got to fluff it out. I kind of had to scrunch it to get them all in there. So then once you fluff it, you can't see the green. And I just keep pushing those up and putting more in there. So then you won't see any of the green once I finish. Now I'm a little bit out of frame there, and I apologize for that. But you just see me working each one into that little section there. And because the main part is rolled corner to corner, these are longer than the others, than the white ones, and they actually are a little bit tougher to shove through there once it gets full. But you just have to work it through, keep working and playing with it until you can get it through there. All right, I'm finally working on that last section there. We're coming to the end of all the Deco mesh. And I know there's people who make wreaths with Deco mesh and it looks beautiful. I honestly do not know how people work with this all the time. I kid you not, I think my fingers were raw after this. It just felt like it was, rubbing my skin raw after a while of working with this. So it's not something that I will work with in a thing like this again. Maybe for something, different, but not where I'm doing like all this tight pulling of it. I literally felt like my fingers were raw after this. So again, I made this for one for my niece and one for one of my best friends, her daughter, and it was a labor of love. So I did this for them, but I will not be doing these again. That's why I recorded it. So if you would like one of these unicorn wreaths, that you can make one yourself and you can have the joy of making it and giving it to somebody with love. Again, just go over that second rung there, under the first and third rungs, and you just kind of have to keep pushing as many in there as possible. Now, if you want to clean up the back of this when you are finished, you can. I did not necessarily clean up the backs of mine. I trimmed some of the twisty ties just so they couldn't be seen from the front. But other than that, I didn't add anything to the back. But you could cover the back with felt if you were worried that this would scratch up your door. I know that this has been on my niece's door for a while, and I have not heard any complaints from my sister about it scratching up her white door that it's on. But I don't know. You could cover the back with felt if you were worried about how the back looked. Now just working in that second layer there. Shoving that through. Really have to work to get these last ones in. Alright, I got one row done. Now I got to do the other row. Just spread them out. Oh no, that was the last one, I believe. Spread those out and fluff it all up. And that is it for that. And then I added on the horn. I glued it on. I used felt to cut out the ear and the eye. And I just used some rope to make the little bridle harness. I hope you enjoyed this.
I really hope you enjoyed making that unicorn wreath. If you do attempt to make it, just give yourself plenty of time. It is time consuming, but it's worth it in the end. So if you have any questions, shoot me a comment. I will be happy to help in any way I can. You have a great day. I hope you like this video. Please join me again. We're going to be doing lots of other videos, DIYs, yes, a lot of other things as well. How to save money in lots of different ways. I love to save money. I find things that I like. I try to figure out different ways that I can turn trash into treasure, how I can, things that you would normally throw away, I can make something with. I use a lot of recycled items. I use a lot of just things you would not normally use in a DIY, I use in a DIY. So join me, subscribe to my channel. I hope you have a great day. Thanks. Bye.